Toy Story 4, directed by Josh Cooley, is a Pixar animation film and picks up right where Toy Story 3 left off. Our beloved toys are with their new kid, Bonnie, and they'll do whatever it takes to make her as happy as possible. Bonnie eventually makes herself a new toy named Forky, and he becomes her new favorite. Forky eventually goes missing, and it becomes the job of Woody, Buzz, and the crew to track him down and return him to the hands of Bonnie. Our beloved toys go on another adventure to track down Forky, but they face again some serious obstacles along the way that threaten their ability to reunite with Bonnie. Alright, so Toy Story 4 was one that I think most of us were cautiously optimistic for. I mean, on one hand, it is Pixar, a company that has made a lot of great products, and it is Toy Story, an excellent franchise that has always delivered great characters with great storytelling, animation, and all the good stuff. But on the other hand, Toy Story 3 ended so well, and many people were worried, including myself. Worried that this fourth film would sort of taint the beautiful ending that the third film delivered, and what seemed to be a great trilogy, turned out to be something a little bit more. I think Toy Story 4 is the rare exception of a movie that we didn't know we needed, because this is a great film that delivers everything you loved from the previous Toy Story films, and then some. I honestly think this is the best one. It's right there with 3 for me, and that's saying something because I love 3. It's one of my favorite animated movies ever, but I am giving 4 the very slight edge right now, which may be recency bias. It's probably a little bit too soon to tell. I need to think on it a little bit more. But walking out of the theater, I was extremely satisfied with what Toy Story gave me, in basically every aspect. Let me just start by saying, though, that Toy Story 4 is pretty similar to the plot you get in basically every Toy Story film. Something happens to another toy, and Woody feels that he needs to go out and track down the toy so he can return it to the kid. This time it's Forky, a toy that doesn't quite know how to be a toy yet because he was a spork 2 days ago. The interesting thing, though, is that with this story, you get tension, you get the laughs, you get the heartfelt moments, and you get the excitement. Toy Story 4 hits every beat just as it's intended to, and it provides you with a simple story that feels like much more than that because of how seamless it transitions between various themes. One area where I think Toy Story 4 delivers way above expectation is the comedy. This is the funniest Toy Story film we've gotten thus far, and I feel like it played much more to the adult crowd this time around. While a kid will certainly laugh at the goofiness of this movie, I think adults will have a great time with this one too because they'll understand some of the references and the punchlines a little bit better. There's a great amount of quality comedy in this movie, and I think that really helps it feel like it's constantly moving. It never feels dull, and it never feels like it's stationary. And a big reason for that is because all the conversations do something to progress the plot. And that's something that not a lot of movies can do super well, and the fact that an animated movie is able to do it so well, Pixar has once again proven why they are the best in the business. This is an extremely quotable movie with a lot of great lines that you'll be rattling off from time to time. I mean, my brother and I have been going back on some of these lines, the really funny ones, back and forth for quite a bit now. And I mean, it's just one of those movies that's very quotable. And I really was just pretty surprised at how funny this movie is. None of it ever fell flat, and I was laughing pretty consistently. A big part of Toy Story's success over the years, though, has been the characters, undeniably. Toy Story 4 continues that trend by providing further development to the main ones, at least Woody, which we'll get to, and also introducing a few new ones that are excellent additions to the universe. Woody does take the lead here pretty heavily, as he usually tends to do, and I think this film does an excellent job developing his character that much further. This is the same Woody we've seen before, but also a different one in some other ways as well. His goal still is to make whatever kid he belongs to as happy as he can, but this time around he takes on much more of like a parental role. In some ways he feels like the father to Forky, and he becomes overly protective of him because he knows how much Forky means to Bonnie. As the film goes on, we learn more about what's driving Woody and why he has such a strong commitment to his fellow toys. This film does a lot of good for Woody's development and adds layers to his character. Buzz doesn't quite get the same treatment. He's mostly designated to adventuring and just trying to help wherever he can, and he and Woody don't have that same dynamic that they do in the other films. As for the new characters though, Forky has to be the biggest surprise, like ever honestly. I mean, when I watched the trailers, I did not think I would like him at all, but he ended up being hilarious and one of the best parts and one of the best characters in this film. He's got this quirky personality and is, as he's still trying to learn how to be a toy, so he's funny in his learning process. He does really silly things, but he doesn't come across as overly slapstick or annoying like some kid films can tend to have characters like that. The other new star is Duke Kaboom, played by Keanu Reeves. He may have been my favorite character in the movie because he shines in every scene he's in. He's hilarious. He's a Canadian stuntman, and his job is to pull off some dangerous stunts on his bike and to look cool in the process. Keanu Reeves nailed this part. Two other additions were actually Key and Peele. They play two stuffed animals who add a ton of fun and comedy to this film. But overall, Toy Story 4 more so focuses on Woody and the new characters than it does the old ones. I don't think that will upset too many people though, because the new characters are just a hell of a lot of fun. I also want to talk about the animation because, damn, it is getting so good that some of it is becoming lifelike. I think that this is the type of movie where you notice the animation, but in a good way. I was just marveling at the lighting and the colors and the environments and how real a lot of it looks. I mean, animated movies are getting to an insane point where the filmmakers can make you feel like you're in reality, yet also in a foreign universe at the same time. I think Toy Story has always struck that balance pretty well because it makes you feel like you're living in a fantasy world with living toys, and then you're seeing that, how they interact with the real world. The animation seamlessly blends the two and results in something pretty visually spectacular. I think that Toy Story 4 is just a very well executed film that hits similar beats to the previous installments like I mentioned, but with a few surprises thrown in here and there. Still, the ending is incredibly satisfying and very emotional actually. They really did stick the landing because it felt honest and like a natural progression for the characters. This conclusion does feel like the end, but so did the third one, so it's hard to say, but I'd be surprised if we get another Toy Story before maybe 2025 or so, maybe longer, because this one really does feel like the end. There is only one problem I have with the film, and that's the villain. There are predictable aspects to the story as a whole, but I found that this particular character didn't quite do it for me. Toy Story has never really been about good versus evil, even though there have been villainous characters in every film, but this one just I didn't get much from them. I didn't feel like they offered too much. They try to make this character sympathetic, and usually whenever they were on screen, I just wanted them to kind of go elsewhere. They weren't horrific or anything, and there wasn't really much about them that I found value in. There wasn't anything that stood out and made them such a great villain to me. I understand the sympathetic factor, but there just wasn't much to this character that really did much for me. It really added much to the story, other than some tension here and there based on putting the characters in danger. Still, I love Toy Story 4, and personally I think it's the best one yet, which is saying something. As for the pros cons, for the pros, I thought Toy Story 4 delivered lots of fun and laughs, excellent animation, some great characters, and a fantastic ending. As for the cons, just the villain, which wasn't an immersion killer or anything. They weren't horrific, but I didn't feel like they added too much to the film. They just weren't my favorite. I'm going to give Toy Story 4 a 9.5 out of 10 and definitely recommend you go check it out in theaters. If you haven't seen the others, I think you'd still be fine seeing this one, but kids and adults alike can enjoy this one no matter what. It's another great Pixar film that offers something for everyone. So did you guys see Toy Story 4 yet? What did you think of it? And if not, let me know why not. Also, let me know your favorite Toy Story movie. For me, it's 4, like I mentioned a couple times in this review, but I do love 3 a lot as well. It really is neck and neck. Also, if you want, let me know your favorite Pixar film. As time's gone on, I've become even fonder of Coco, but Toy Story 3 and 4 are right there with it as well because those are all amazing films. Coco is probably my number 1 right now, but that could really be subject to change at any time. Either way, this is WillFoxification signing off. I'll see you guys in the next review.